This is already a leadership context that has left many Britons absolutely enraged and bewildered. 0.3% of the electorate choosing the next prime minister. We're talking about 160,000. That's the size of a small town. So you have the fact that most of Britain's been left out of this election. But even within his own political establishment, we had a Foreign Office minister resigning yesterday and basically saying that he did so in order to table a motion right away in the House of Commons to debate how much support Johnson actually has, a bid really to ward off what you were talking about, that what's a horror possibility for most Britons of a no-deal Brexit. Now, that motion to instantly debate a sort of confidence motion to gauge Johnson's support, that was shot down by the Speaker of the House of Commons. However, that does not mean that Boris Johnson will not be on notice right away. He is a man perceived by many as being a fabulist, i.e. a liar, a guy who's winged it for almost all of his political career, and the pure definition of opportunist, tacking with the wind, changing his positions, even with regard to Brexit, with the idea being that he made Brexit by leading the Leave campaign in 2016, and now Brexit is what has made him prime minister, but he's becoming prime minister at the most precarious time, and he's essentially going to be in the exact same situation as Theresa May, but perhaps facing an even more threadbare parliamentary majority, one that could collapse at any moment. So he's facing any number of risks on any number of fronts, and it's really, some say, just a matter of time before he's not just up against the fire, but perhaps having to hand back those keys to Downing Street.
He's also a man that's been compared often to U.S. President Donald Trump.
Yeah, Trumpian. Fine. He's more articulate. He's a former newspaper journalist for a conservative paper in Britain, albeit during that time he was a journalist in Brussels in Europe, and he sort of built the whole sort of myth of Europe making everyone's lives impossible, most of his articles being characterized as just outright lying. When it comes to Donald Trump, he does share that loose relationship with the truth that Donald Trump has, and he also shares a real, not just a populist bent, but an ability to say or do anything it takes in order to keep his base. And in this case, for Boris Johnson, his base is this hardcore, extremely hardcore pro-Brexit constituency, the constituency that has been voting for him, the 160,000 members that are going to decide this next election. But the reason that it's worrying many Britons is because if Boris Johnson seeks to hardwire himself to Donald Trump on many issues, especially, say, Iran, we've seen the tensions escalating in Iran in recent weeks, Iran seizing British tankers. How is he going to deal with that dossier? Because until now, Britain has really wanted to stay on board with the Iran deal and try to sort of adhere to the European common position. If he goes Donald Trump's way, all bets are off. This goes for climate as well, issues like that. So that's another worrying specter. Is Boris Johnson going to go the full Trump?
And assuming he is the next prime minister, how long do you think Johnson will last?
Well, I was talking about that motion that the foreign minister deputy who resigned was going to table. It was shot down. So he's not going to be brought down immediately. He's not going to be, Theresa May won't resign tomorrow and he'll come into office, and then by Thursday we'll be talking about a new prime minister. There's already sort of a sense, even the Labour Party is going to hold off. They'd wanted to, table a confidence motion right away. They're likely to hold off on that. Give Boris Johnson, because they know the Tories aren't going to go along right away. The Tory party is generally in this, let's just wait and see for a very short time, put him on a very short lead, see the cabinet he appoints, see what his initial speech to the cabinet, to the nation is going to be, see if he's able to make any headway over the summer towards perhaps arriving at some sort of fresh agreement that would avoid a no-deal Brexit. Because remember, that's the horror show for most people in Britain, a no-deal Brexit. Even among those who support Brexit, there are polls showing that they are adamantly against crashing out of the European Union without an agreement. So Boris Johnson's on a very, very tight lead right here. And if he gets through the summer and there is no confidence, there is no sense of a plan, and if he appoints to his cabinet very hardcore, hard Brexit ministers that aren't able to reach across the partisan divide, to reach out to the nation and show that he is, as the former Prime Minister Gordon Brown said he must be, a Prime Minister who serves the entire nation and not just an ultra-Brexit faction, unless he is able to do that, his days are really going to be number. I won't say he'll be the shortest-lived prime minister, but he could be out of there really by the autumn. And remember, that hard Brexit deadline is October 31st, and there's almost zero chance that Europe is going to be open in any way, because it's made it clear, to renegotiating that Brexit deal with Britain. So he has tight lead, little wiggle room, and more dossiers in his inbox than you can even count. So I think there are very few people in Britain right now who envy Boris Johnson's position.